You're muted.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry. It says live. I'm so sorry. You did this last time. And it cut off with your shoes. Andrea, it's live. I was correct. And so sorry that we've gone back and forth here. But good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to another Ambassador as a Let's Get Real. Today, we're going to be talking about social media and boundaries because a lot of questions have come up. There have been a lot of things placed on social media from political to personal, and we want to talk about what is being put out and how, as young people as well as older people, we need to kind of guard some of the things that we say on social media as far as people getting into your personal business too far. So as we get ready to start, I want to go ahead and ask, I'm so remiss. I have not introduced the panel. Our panel today consists of Mrs. Pam Lindo, Miss Brianna Brooks, Mr. Michael Lindo, myself, your host, and Corinne Woodard. We may have one other person that we're having some issues, a young man who was going to join us. But if he comes in, we'll welcome him. If not, we're going to move on with the thing. Mr. Lindo, would you please be so kind as to start us with prayer?
Sure, let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for waking us up this morning. We thank you for your blessed Sabbath day. We ask that what we say be to your name's honor and glory. Have a good, nice discussion on the way how we live and the practices and the things we do in our life. We hope that we have understanding and that we can see different viewpoints from our human perspective is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay, well, I would like to start the conversation out. This past, well, a couple weeks now, I have seen some different posts. Something you like to mention? And some different posts. See, we're just one big family chatting it out. If you want to be a part of the, you know, uh, panel, please feel free to send us a message, and I will try to make that happen because we're always looking for other perspectives. But what I was saying was I've seen some different posts, and I'm not really big on going on a lot of social media. I'm just really busy, and I just that's not my thing. I used to do it quite a bit, but I've seen some posts lately that kind of disturbed me because of content and um, what was actually said. And so I wanted to get kind of into it, giving a brief synopsis of one of the posts was from a young woman talking about her relationship with her boyfriend and how it's okay that he can come over and pretty much act as if he's a part of the family, being able to go into her room and hang out and other things. So I kind of questioned and asked some questions about it, and the young person's response was, "My mom says she prefers to know where I am when I'm doing what I do." And as Christian young people, I really had a problem with that. So, everybody does their own thing, but from a Christian standpoint, I would like to say, what do you as young people? Let me start with young people. I want to throw it out there because I have my own opinion. But anyway, Brianna, I'd like to start with you. Then I want to move to Corinne. Then I want to move to Michael, get your perspective, and then Pamela, I'll let you round it up. So
Okay, so hello everyone. This situation, I've actually had a friend tell me, her mom prefers her to drink with her when we were in high school. I lived in the dorm with her, and her mom would let her drink with her because she was like, "Oh, well, I'd rather her do it with me. then go out and do it somewhere else. While, as a Christian, I wouldn't want my mom to be like, oh, yeah, it's okay for you to come drink with me because I don't want you to drink anywhere else. But that's personally just me. I think as putting your business out for social media, one thing I've learned is that once you put it out there, you can't take it back. So even if it's out there for like a split second, someone has already screenshotted it, sent it to their friends who don't have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now they have it in pictures forever. Someone's already sent it to their friends, and people remember. So I think when putting something out there, although she may feel confident about, saying that now, you have to think, oh, what am I trying to do in life? Our future employer is going to look at this and look at me and, judge me for this, even though it's sad to say, but you have to do this. Am I going to regret putting this out there tomorrow? These are all things that you have to really take into consideration, before you post something about your life, because everyone's not your friend. So there are people, really looking and itching. And, if you have 2 followers, you're an influencer on Instagram. You're also influencing other people. So like people are not your friend. People are looking to talk about you. It's sad to say, but people really are. So with the stuff that you post, I'm not saying like be conscious and don't live your life, but still you have to remember what you post because everyone is not for you. So that's my take.
Thank you, Corinne.
I'm right there with Brianna. We have these type of conversations all the time. I just feel like it's certain things, and people may like. I feel like a lot of my friends now today they don't realize like they should have boundaries when it comes to what they post on social media, and not everything needs to be posted. I don't need to know what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like we don't need to know all of that. I don't need to know every time you fall out with one of your parents or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. I just feel like it's unnecessary. And like at this point you're begging for attention because even like celebrities who post all of their relationship issues and who they're dating and stuff, and they get offended when they have comments about how they're doing things and it's not a comment that they would necessarily want to hear. I'm like, but you made it our business when you posted it on social media. So you can't get offended and be offended because you posted. So my view on it is really I take more on the private side of life when it comes to social media. I don't feel like you have to post every day or every second to like Brown was saying, you're seeking people's approval because they feel like they have an opinion on your life because you share so much. And you need to stop worrying about so much what people think and just be okay with you.
But it isn't, before we go on to Pam, what you and Brianna said, I totally agree with and get, but isn't that part of why a lot of our young people get caught out there with that as far as watching those stars, those people of influence, putting their whole drama of their lives. I was talking with Corinne not long ago in reference to this rapper who has he had 2 women pregnant at the same time. See, and it's become the norm. And we always call those ghetto twins, but just because it seems like it's an everyday occurrence does not mean that it's a good thing. That has to be very hard to grow up and realize that your father had another child and you all are the same age and it's 2 different mothers. That and it brings on other issues as far as acceptance and all of that. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Pamela. Oh, can't hear you. Oh, I think Mike was next. I'm sorry. Mike, you were next. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think we're all the same school where Nobody needs to know my business. I know when Facebook really hit the early scenes, and it was great knowing seeing people that I haven't seen in years, and it was exciting. It was a new thing to do and things of that nature. Um, but since then, um, I'm not with that. I don't got, like Cohen said, I don't got to know your business when you turning off the new TV show and waiting for the next one, and then you gotta know what time. I heard people saying, "I'm going to bed now. See you in the morning." I'm like, really? It's not that deep. Get a life. It's like see, well, I'm getting up this morning at 7 o'clock. I just had my breakfast. I don't need to know your lifestyle. Um, but I'm of the same accord where I'm not revealing my whole life to you because, like you said, once it's out there, you can't take it back. It's out there, they're recording. And look, you have to realize that Big Brother is watching,
Right.
they're taping, they're monitoring. They have many databases, many files out there. They just plug you into Occupy One, and they got you since that point forward. So I'm of the mindset I control it as much as I can, and I'll leave it at that. And I like you said, if it doesn't come from me, more than likely you won't know.
Pam?
Good evening, everyone. Young ladies, I applaud you. Y'all did great on that comment. And I believe I agree with y'all a lot of things you said. To the young lady Brianna, you said that your friend mom has, drink or whatever. Let me tell you something. I'm old school and our culture, when our parents back in the days, and I'm sure a lot of us can say it may be true. You may have had that one Christmas, New Year's that you drank a little bit of champagne. Like when your parents say, okay, I know you had that. So I'm gonna give you just a little bit of champagne just for to celebrate the New Year's. But to say to drink with your family, that's not even cool. And I'm not saying that, that's everybody parent differently because I guess they decide they want to be more friends with their children than being parent. I would say I can tell you my kids may have had a champagne with me during New Year's. So if they go out, they won't act stupid because at least they have had a taste. And I'm not saying that's right, but that was just how we did it. But it's not saying that that's the way to do it. But our family has done it in our thing, and it's a thing that we've done. My husband's looking at me weird.
Your side of the family, not mine. Your side. Let's break it down now. Your side, not my side. Okay, continue.
You see how that's the family, but it's just one of those things that parents have done that. So don't. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying that it ain't. It's not like always that you're going to be drinking with your kids. That's not how we do. So the thing is, we're both raised differently, but there's a sense to what you're doing. If you look at my Facebook, I'm on it. And ladies, you said things that are very correct because guess what? We grown up, we need to hear that. I have a lot of folks that is on Facebook and they say so much, and you're like, really? Do I need to know all that? And remember, when you complain about your significant other on Facebook and all you've done is the complaining, remember, and when y'all are together, no one sees that good because you don't put out the good stuff with the bad stuff. We tend to, oh, he ain't no good at that, but you never say, well, today he was really good. He sent me flowers. If you put out the bad stuff all the time, everybody's going to think that person is constantly bad because you've put it out there. So, ladies, we need to understand that. Even gentlemen, when you put out there about your female friends or your male friends, think about how you're showing them to the people outside. Because if you just show one side, everybody's not going to like them because you showed us the side that he's no good or she's no good. So it works both ways. And I think it's one of those things we have to learn how to balance. And it's the hardest thing to do in any age because it's a growing thing. And then we see the celebrities doing these things and we're thinking, oh, that's all right. But it's not all right. Like Sonia said, back in the days, we wouldn't talk about celebrities having two kids at one time because your parents would be like, what's wrong with you? That's not the way to do it. But now it's norm. It's okay. But then you have to think about what do we call those girls back in those days? and then that you agree with this, you're fine with this. We have to have some balance where men respect us. Men only respect us if we allow them to dog us, they're gonna dog us. But if they don't have no self-respect for us, why would they respect us? If he can have 2 girls pregnant, he's good. He's the king. That's my thought.
Well, well, it's kind of a double thing, because I know there are some really good guys out there who are having the same issues with their significant other. There are a lot of women who feel like equal rights, I'm going to wild out or whatever. But what does the Bible say? And getting back to Christian values, even there are a lot of Christians.
They don't exist.
No, I don't think that's the case.
I mean, in today's generation, it's very rare to find. Morals, what is that? Standards, what is that? Like anything. I'm just like, it amazes me, because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like girls today even dudes, they go out of their way to find the negative, and then they complain that there's nobody good out here today. And I'm just like, but you went looking for that. That's what you went looking for. So you're getting what you want. So I don't understand why you're complaining. And then you want to bash all girls or all guys because you didn't find somebody who acts like this but has a good heart. I'm like, you can't have both.
But isn't it the fact, now let's get into this. Isn't it the fact that we tend to want that bad boy, bad girl kind of thing as people? Because we want some version of that, but then we don't want to take that home to mom and dad. Okay? So we have to find some boundaries, some middle ground. There was a young lady who, when Pam was talking, who had issues with her husband. They ended up subsequently breaking up. But she shared this on Facebook and with her girls. And in doing so, she shared so much that a young lady who was supposed to be her good friend ended up with her husband. Boundaries. You don't take, my mom always said, you don't tell all your business, and especially to your friends. You don't tell your friends everything negative about your husband, because what you may perceive as negative, they're looking as, I just want a good man. And your good man will be gone because you put too much out. Also, the other thing that Pam said that comes to mind is everything we put on social media, our jobs are now tracking. They go on social media to see if you want a job. They want to see what type of morality, what type of person you are before they hire you. And if you're going on there and speaking badly about everybody, especially your spouse, why would I want to hire you? What would make me have the inkling to hire you and to bring you on to my company?
Let me piggyback off your point about social media. In my job and what I do, I try to reach some patients. I'm in the healthcare industry and work in finance. And sometimes when I am trying to make contact with a patient, if I can't get them through the regular means by telephone, all I got to do is go on social media, put up a name, a few keywords, type it in, bam, got them. And I have a way of contacting them. And they say, well, how did you find me out? I said, well, just pull them, I don't say exactly how, but I got you. And I need for you to pay attention to this bill that we're trying to get payment on. So if you would go ahead and make this payment so we can sell it for you on your behalf, it's for the good that I am contacting you, because the collections agency to contact you. So how I find it, I say, okay, I'll go to Facebook, I go to Twitter, and I just know certain avenues to go through the media and contact them. So like you said, there's different connections, different avenues way to get in contact with somebody or know something about someone. So that's one of the ways that I do to help me be successful at my job.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And
But
just to add in to what you said, I think there's a lot of pressure, and especially now I'm seeing so many people from my class are getting married, and people younger than my class are already getting married from high school. So it's just like, wait, did I miss something? Like, I didn't even graduate college yet, and all y'all are like getting married, like, oh, graduating college, getting married, getting jobs, moving on to life in the real world. So I think in society, there's a rush to grow up. And there's not necessarily time to take to get to know someone. You're just looking, oh, okay, all my friends are going to get married. I don't want to be single. So let me just go find someone quick. And, I think instead of looking for opportunities to excel ourselves, we're meeting people at places we shouldn't be meeting people and wondering why they aren't giving us, um, Bill Gates money and Bill Gates lifestyle. When instead, we're not going to the networking opportunities to meet young people who are on the same mindset as us and who want to get somewhere. And, I'm not saying you have to be somewhere to get married, but who at least want to work and, want to work hard, are not lazy, don't want to just sit at home, lay at home and not pay bills. And that's why I think with social media, it's so important. If you're going to be an influencer on social media, influence for good, don't just put out all your business, because at the end of the day, like I said, we all remember that people go onto Facebook. Sometimes if I haven't heard from my family, I'll go on Facebook because I know they post something and I can catch up on all their life on Facebook. And it's just like I talk to them. So I think with the jobs, especially, it's good to not put your business out there. And like you said, people will try to take your husband. And a lot of the times, problems could have been fixed had you just communicated. Or if it's something that's really serious and that no one needs to know, I think you just have to pray about it. And I know that sounds so cliche, just pray about it, but sometimes there are things that no one, maybe not even my mom, my dad, like that they need to know, and you need to pray about and ask God for discernment on how to handle that issue. And therapy could be an issue for you guys. But again, no one needs to know that. Is if you communicate it with your husband, say, hey, this really got on my nerves. I think this is this. And, pray and like, we need to work this out because this is going to drive me crazy. And then if it's a problem you guys can't fix, then worry about that then. But most of the time, I really feel people be complaining about their husband left their shoes in the thing. And all that keeps adding and adding and adding and building up till now there's a really big problem. But if you just buy him a shoe rack, say, hey, I don't want to see your shoes on the floor anymore. Things can be fixed by communication.
well, thank you, Brianna. I love that. And it's a great segue for me to go into, it's not just the husband wife situation, but the young person situation. There's a young person who has I need to do that. Who has this situation where she posts a lot on social media, and it's always with her boyfriend. And she started showing signs, for me, all the red signs of abuse. The pastor was preaching this morning, and it was just like right in line, Pastor Newton, right in line with kind of what we're talking about. And he offered, if you need to have some counseling or just need to talk to me, you can, send into the chat, to the instant messaging. He will, make arrangements and be able to talk with you. But have somebody that you can trust that's not going to, put your business all out there, to help you navigate maybe some things. And then sometimes it's just like you said, Brianna, sometimes you just need to pray about it. You don't need to tell anybody. Just keep it to yourself. God hears and he knows, but as I segue over to the other part, sometimes our young people are putting out, or anyone, really is a call for help. How do we as young people, as older people, see the signs, how do we respond to those people who seem to be crying out?
Well, first, I always bring this up, home life, and we have to look at their parents, how their parents communicate with each other, and how they communicate with their kids. Because I have a couple of friends who do not talk to their parents about anything, and like, but that's like their whole family. They don't communicate. It's very toxic. They don't talk about certain things that they need to talk about, especially coming of age, that I feel like all parents talk about, well, should talk about with their kids. And I tell her all the time, like, people think you're the weirdo who talks about everything with their kids. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have those outlets to communicate. And when they are presented with those opportunities to talk, they don't know how to get it across to ask for help properly. And a lot of times, I feel like we miss the signs because we're like, well, if you need help, just say that. And it can come across in different ways, as far as either anger or lashing out or trying to push you away. And we can only help somebody if they really want to be helped. If you are still in that toxic cycle and you're not over it, how are we supposed to help if you don't even see that you need help?
Yeah, but if the person is in the cycle, how do we help them, or how do we reach out to them? Is my question. How do we start trying to break the cycle? If you see someone screaming out,
I think sometimes just listening, I feel as a society today, we don't listen. You walk by someone and say, hi, how are you doing? Good, good. That's it. Like, you're not really interested in how the person is actually doing. You really don't care, just saying that out of kind courtesy. Good morning. Hello. How are you? So I think by listening to a person is really how you start to break the barrier, because sometimes they don't need someone to tell them what to do. They just need someone to listen and be able to work through it and express how they're feeling. I think that would be a huge step. Second, I also agree with Corinne, as with our whole, like, me and Corinne and our friend Chelsea, we have a little workout group chat, and we like to, we're all trying to get healthier, live healthier lives. So every day we'll be like, okay, guys, make sure you work out, make sure you work on top of each other. So there was at a time and a point where we added somebody else to our group chat who said they were about it, wanted to work out. But at the time where everyone was sending, okay, make sure you guys work out today, eat this, eat healthy, drink your water, they didn't want to do anything. But then they were complaining about how they still were not living a healthier life, So it's at this point, what are we supposed to do? Get up and walk for you, So there's only so much that you can do to help. There's only so much that you can do, You can't do everything for them. But I believe if you did everything in your power to the best of your ability to try to help them, then, like, as far as you and God, like, you guys are okay because you did everything. If God told you, I want you to help this person, and you did everything in your power that you could and that he entitled you to help them, then, like, I believe that's all you can do.
all right. Go ahead.
So what if that person doesn't want to take your advice? Because you have some people, their intentions are good to help, like your friend out, and it goes to kind of piggyback on what someone's saying. They just don't want your help. Should you still approach them? And it could possibly put the friendship at risk by being, you're agitating them, or what? Just to back off.
Honestly, I would just say you have to know who you're dealing with and know your relationship with that person, because something that I may be able to say with Brianna, I may have to tread lightly or word it differently with somebody else because of my relationship with them. So I would really say it's focusing on the relationship and how that person is, because if that person is a little more sensitive, I may say it a little too rough, and you may think that I'm coming off in a rude or trying to hurt your feelings manner, and then that's not my
Intention.
yes, that's not my intentions, but because of how you took it and perceived it, it may come off like that.
I want to say something, and I'm probably going to ruffle a little bit of feathers here.
Oh,
Children raising children back in the days, I never understood that statement until I got old. Because when we have children young, and then we ourselves maybe haven't matured enough in life, your kids get that education that you stopped at. And sometimes we put it onto our children because guess what? That's as much as I learned. And then when you start having children and you're still living in your parents' home and they're trying to tell you, society says, oh no, she's an adult now. So you as a parent can't help, or say, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. So sometimes we have to see if parents are young. I'm a little bit older, so please don't get offended. I'm not trying to offend anybody here, but I'm just trying to let it be out there that when you're older and when you have children young and you never really got to be molded totally as young people like you ladies are. And then when you see older people and then you see this is a drawback. And I realized what my grandma said, oh, children raising children, because we didn't mature. We didn't mature enough to raise kids. You have to get to a level like when you become a mother, man, that you stop being childish. You become more mature. You don't come with a manual now. Children come out, but they don't come with a manual. So there's a lot of learning and fault in here, but you mature quickly because now you have a responsibility for a child, and you as a person try your best to raise. Now, how do you help those society who think that they know what they're doing, or well, I know it all? You got a lot of those. Sometimes you just have to make them hit that rock bottom, and then when they hit it, that's when they go, oh, I get it now. You can't help someone unless they want to be helped. A lot of it, I mean, some of us are stubborn. Let's be honest. Some of us as women, oh, you can't tell me I got children. I make my own money. Da, da, da. Women, for us, and it's a sad thing to say that sometimes it's sad that we can't help each other without someone thinking you're trying to out them. I'm not trying to be one on you or anything. I'm just trying to give you a advice. I've had many times where I've said to a young lady or some women, hey, you look nice. I like what your shoes you're wearing, blah, blah, blah. And they'll come back like, wait, I'm not gay. Like, really? Wow. I just said you look nice. And I guess when you say certain things, and I realize as you get older, I'm gonna say this and get. I went to Walmart, saw a young lady. She had a fly haircut. And I said, oh, I like your haircut. And she turned around and she said, 27 pieces. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what that meant. So, I called my daughter, I text my daughter, I text my beautician, well, what's 27? 27 pieces is a weave. And I said, wait, couldn't she just say thank you? But why she had to tell me it was 27 pieces is beyond me. It's
I have to interject here, Pam. She said 27 pieces because she wanted you to know you can have it too.
but I didn't know what it was. She just had a fly.
Right, because there is the gap. I'm going to be honest. I watched a clip that was on social media about this lady who was talking about standards and how we put too much out about our personal business. Do you know there was this ring of people that were going on social media looking at when people were posting their vacation, whatever, and when the people came back, their house was robbed because you let people know down to the nth degree what you're doing, and you're letting them in your personal life so that the ones who know you, who are those crooks, come and they may break in. Also, on the other hand, well, you were saying maturity is something that different people reach at different times. Okay. Some people may never mature. I know people way older than I am, and they're still silly and immature. That is something that everybody's at a different level. Some people may never mature. You know, I had an uncle who said till he was 90 some years old, I had a baby. I'm like, really? You're still the baby? You're 90 years old. Get over it, you know? But that was his thing. Okay, so when we are talking about, I want to get back to this because we went all over to the right, but I want to get back to this point. How can we can't help everybody, but those who are close to us who may put something out that could hurt them. I know of someone who literally was crying out for help to the point that they literally posted, "Good luck to everybody. I wish you well. I'm done. I'm ending it." And everybody was like, "Whoa, is she serious?" So a person decided, I don't like the conversation. And they took it upon themselves to go and check on her. Had they not, she would have died. She tried to commit suicide. So I'm saying, how do we help others? I'm not conveying this well. But how do we help others when we see the red light? Like the young lady I was telling you about. Yeah, well, you got to want to be safe. But the young lady I was talking about, who I see signs of abuse. And then she reached out and said how she was depressed and she was having a crisis. So tried to talk her through the crisis. Another person, not myself, but they were conveying to me how they were trying to talk her through this crisis and try to get her to kind of get some help because they were still in denial. But her boyfriend was literally, as far as I'm concerned, he is abusing her and she's not allowed to talk on the phone. You're not married to this person. I don't care if you were married, but anyway, but you, especially for young people, you're not married to this person. And when I said that, I meant no offense to married people. I'm just saying you're still an individual, even though you come together as one. But if I'm on the phone talking to somebody, or they're on the phone talking to somebody, you don't have to know every time that person's on the phone who they're talking to. It's like so much control.
But if you're that much wrapped up into them, you're not gonna see it. Because I have a couple of friends right now. They are so far in denial that their relationship is perfect, or because they post pictures of them together, everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, y'all are goals and you guys are so cute and stuff." They stay in these relationships because they're like, "Well, this is what the people like," and they get so wrapped up in that they don't worry about when the spotlight's not on them. They're in like person. Like I'm like, you gotta care for yourself. So if you don't see that and you're so wrapped up in them, I can't help you to see that without me sounding like the complete devil of trying to, oh, you're just jealous. Because I've had two friends. I've had a moment where we stopped speaking altogether because they got offended of what I said about you're so wrapped up in your significant other that you just you're neglecting like yourself and your friends. Like you don't have to be with them 24/7. They thought I got jealous. Oh, you're jealous of my relationship. You must like him. You must like no, not the case. I'm just telling you this as a concerned friend who sees it. But if you don't see it, I can't help you to see that.
Sonia, to answer your question, sometimes it's hard. You see the signs, but when you try to help, as a grown person, should be able to call you and say, "Hey, is everything okay?" But even time they're so scared. And I think when I've seen that level, I've went in them folks where you just because you there's nothing that you can say because they're so scared and they're so wrapped up in another thing, they're in denial that sometimes you just have to pray, God, show me or help send someone else. Maybe but maybe God can send someone that can intervene.
You know, and I was thinking that, like you were saying, the person that who's in the relationship with the more the abusive person, they may want a way out, but they another scenario could be that, let's say that they left their home, they left mom and dad's home, and they felt, I feel trapped under my parents' household, and they're looking to get out of that, thinking that it's better on the other side of the fence. So now here you are, the caring friend, trying to talk to that person. You need to get out of that abusive relationship, but now here you, the friend, fighting against two battles. You fight about the friend that you're caring about being in that abusive relationship, and at the same time, you're fighting that person being abused, going back to a safe environment under mom and dad's house. So here you're doing a caring person doing double work. So now you have to fight two battles, so to say, because you're fighting against her to get out there, abusive relationship, one, and two, to get into a more safe environment, which could be on their parents' household. So it's something like Brianna was saying. You'll have to pray about it, ask Lord for the right words and the way how to go about it, and to have an action plan. And if in the action plan, you have to have a primary action plan and a backup. So before you help, you ask, well, should I go about it this way? But if I get turned down, let me go the other way. So you have to kind of prepare in your help to somebody how to go about it.
I definitely agree, and I agree with Miss Pam too. Those situations, are so tricky. Like, there's just no like right way, there's no wrong way. It's just, and every situation is different, depending on how they were raised or what may not have happened in their lives. So with those situations, I truly believe like first you have like the Holy Spirit will have to tell you you need to talk to this person and you need to do it now, because not everyone, if you just go talk to everyone, you see the signs, everyone might start seeing signs. This person be like, oh, I see signs in you and I see signs in you. But the Holy Spirit really would have to, to go talk to this person, go check on this person, or I want you to pray for this person for 30 days, and earnestly really have to do that, because those situations are it's so tricky. And a lot of times I do think the girls are so brainwashed to the fact that they don't know that this is wrong. Like, they think that this is right. Like, this is what love is. They don't know what love truly is. So,
Well, aren't we called, according to being Christians, to go to our brothers and be our brother's keeper? Aren't we called to that? I mean, I've heard it preached my whole life.
I think we also, as Christians, have to understand the thin line there between being called and trying to pray for someone and being supportive and trying to help them, and inserting ourselves into people's business completely, because you have a lot of people that like to insert themselves into people's relationship, and you should do that, and you should do that, and I wouldn't put up with that if I was you. We have to know the boundaries in doing that. So you gotta be careful with that.
Okay, but wait a minute. If I'm your friend, doesn't a real friend tell you the truth? But some people want the truth and some people want the truth.
Can
What
you
kind of
handle the
person?
truth?
Huh?
Can you handle the truth?
Can you handle the truth? Most people, I don't think, can handle the truth. I don't think most people really want to know the truth. We sugarcoat it so much. We walk around happy Sabbath. Are we actually happy? Are we praising God even in our midst of misery? The Sabbath school was talking about thanking him right where you are. When you're in that trial, you should consciously stop and say, "Hey, thank you, Lord. I drew breath." Sometimes, I have to stop and just say, "Ooh, I'm awake. I'm in my right mind. I could be on the street." We have to thank him for what we have, and we have to thank him when we're in the midst of our trials, because trials come to what sharpen us and make us kind of see what's going on around us. But we still have to be our brother's keepers, don't we?
Yes, I agree, we do. But a lot of times, people will forget that a lot of times, before people will get themselves into these situations, if you're true friends and when you see the warning signs and when you tell them, hey, he's no good for you. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, let me tell you again, something else will happen. He is no good for you, and I'm letting you know I don't like him. Okay, well, what are you supposed to do? You told them at the end, and now they're here and now they want help. But all along, and when you first started and they first started having the warning signs, you started to tell them, if being a true friend and all, and they didn't want to hear it. So it's just like, sometimes being your brother's keeper, I think if you, when you first see something, speak on it, like say it, don't ignore it. And then people, oh, why didn't you tell me? No, because then at least, now that when you get here and the situation is escalated, you said something in the beginning.
Brianna, you said that lovely. But people would tend to say that I'm very rude because I speak my mind, and I may not say it in the way that is. But one thing I've always been was real. I say what I said, take it any way you want to. And then when something happened, they'll go back and say, she did say that, just like you said. But sometimes people are not ready for the truth, because truth hurt, because when someone is so truthful to you, and I think I heard it best on the radio, we don't know how to take criticism well as folks, and with that, we don't know how to be truthful to each other. I'm always going to be real. I'm always going to say what's on my mind. It may come out weird or funny, or someone say, oh, that was rude, you shouldn't have said that. I said it, can't take it back. Because usually when I'm saying it's done. And it's just what it is. My husband's going to say that I'm rude again.
And I'll be telling her out of love for my sister, my dear sister, my wife. Look, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And she could be a little rough on the edges. You know what I mean? But like we alluded to earlier, very early conversation, Sonia, there's a balance. We talk about balance.
Right.
And I think for for my wife and myself, it's a balance. She can be an edgy, and I can be a little more refined. Let me say it like that. Okay. So, and between the two of us, we talk and we discuss. Like, we have a situation going on now with our with our people. We work with a lot of youth in our conference and particular clubs. And we have a couple issues going on. One of them is like, well, should I say this to that person that way, or should I not say it? And I say I'll get a feedback. And we go back and forth like that all the time. And so we kind of come to a decision, or we kind of understanding. And then I said, well, if I go like I said earlier, should I go the A route or should I go the B route? And I'll have those internal conversations with myself, and not go for my plan of action. So it's we have that balance, and that's where the marriage works out. So it works kind of good. That's why like you said, you should know the person who you conversate with, and then you can build on that relationship. Like Corinne said, know the person, have a relationship, and you can approach the situation in a particular way.
Well, sorry. Our puppy here is just, he's being rambunctious today. But anyway, segueing once again, because I guess I'm the person over here. When we're at church, I want to use it as a perfect scenario here. We're at church back when we used to go to church, and we are entering the house of God. People don't necessarily know how you got there that day or where your frame of mind is. So when you walk in that door, it takes a lot to walk in that door sometimes because you don't know what has happened to that person during that week. So for me, I think there needs to be a sweet, loving person in that door who, when I step in that door, I feel like, wow, I've arrived. I'm in God's house. But a lot of times when we walk through that door, hello, or totally ignored. And that's something that has always bothered me about churches. And it's not one denomination. It's been quite a few different denominations. But how we interact with our brother and sisters and those boundaries when they say those things that may hurt or cut. There was a situation where I went to church and I had a rough night. I had to take this girl to the hospital. We made it out of the hospital about 4 a.m. Got home, trying to get a little rest, but it was just nagging at me. I was like, get up, go to church. God saw you through this. And it was all I could do. Just get up, get these kids ready, get to church. And I walk in and my whole countenance fell because somebody, before I could get my second foot in the door, said to me, "Ooh, you looking rough this morning. Well, I'm glad you made it. You're late." And it's immediately, the little devil, little imp jumped on my shoulder and said, "Now you need to get them." Okay? But what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? That was the other side saying the little angel. And I said, I wanted to knock the little angel off. Don't we have those days where we would just want to slap that little angel off and be like, listen here, go away. Let me get this. But I think back and I think about my sister, and my sister always said, say a kind word. She was one of those, say a kind word. Because, you could always get them, and she would make me laugh, So I'm saying when those trials hit us, I said to that person, I wasn't having a good day. So y'all forgive me. Forgive me in love. Charge it to my head, not my heart. But I said to that person, do you know what I went through to get to this church today? And they looked at me because now I'm offended. I'm tired. And I'm trying to get some God. And they looked at me and I looked at them. I said, I just left the hospital. I haven't had any sleep. Then I come here and your rudeness is at the door, And then here I am that is still pressing what you've been put in to you growing up is still there. And I said, but I thank you for making me realize why I'm here. I said, have a good day. And I went on in and I sat down and I said, let me block out the rest of the world and focus in on the sermon. Because sometimes we have to put on blinders and look towards Christ. Because when we're hearing all the noise here and all the noise here, because when I was growing up, there wasn't anything about panic attacks. Them old people will help you with that panic attack. They give you a good slap and you went on. But the young people now, even the older people, they have panic attacks and all. I've never heard of these things before growing up.
I'm telling you, I'm saying it again. These households, like I go to some of my friends' houses, and I'm just like, wow, like this is a show because of how they talk to each other and just say anything to each other. They don't care about anybody's feelings, and it's so toxic. And then I come back home, and I'm just like, I come home and I tell her and my brother, I'm like, I'm just so glad that we're such a peaceful household because I was so stressed over there. Like, I was like, well, gee, that, oh, it makes me feel a certain way. And I tell her all the time, sometimes I'm just, I don't like foolishness. I run away. I will hide in the store. If I see people I know who are doing something crazy, I'm just that type of person. I don't like scenes. That's just not me.
You can't talk loud.
So I really have to, I really have to tell myself it's how they're raised. It's how they're raised. That's their household. That's how they don't necessarily always mean it to come off like that. But sometimes these people are just out of control, and I have to hold myself together so I don't say the wrong thing because I'm like, that's not how I was raised, and I'm gonna show them better instead of falling down to their level and letting the devil win. I'm gonna let God talk to me in my ear. Let me go about my business. So we have to go.
I totally agree. With Miss Sonia and Corinne, I think the church as a whole needs to do a better job of remembering that we are sinners ourselves. And I think if we first remember that, then that could fix the problem right there. If some of those old people or even younger people remember the stuff they used to do, some of the stuff they did, they really have no right to judge anybody else because the Bible says judge not lest ye be judged. So once you remember that, oh, I need Jesus as much as you need him, then it becomes a happy place because you're not there worrying about, oh, why does the lack of clothes that she has on, or oh, she might not look as nice as she normally does. You don't know what's going on in anybody's life, and a lot of times people don't share. So even I think even not even just in church, as Christians, everywhere we go, we should be kind, we should be loving, we don't need to be rude. We should, I know sometimes some people try us, but we should try to show the love of Christ everywhere we go, because you never know, that person that comes in contact with you may never heard of Christ, may never heard of the gospel, but just because of that kind encounter with you, that means, oh, let me look into why she's so nice, or why does she always have a loving spirit no matter what goes on in her life. Like my hairdresser, she said these Mormon people helped them. They saw them struggling with their washer and dryer. They helped to move in, and they were like, oh, do you want to go to church with us? And she was like, even though we weren't into the the whole Mormon thing, she never heard about it, they went to that Mormon church because of the kind deed that they just helped them move in their washer and dryer. So it's just small things like that, planting a seed every day in people's lives.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Brianna. The planting of the seed. I think Mike or Pam, one of you had some comment.
Go ahead, Pam.
Sonia, I always said not everybody should be an usher. So I agree with you. Now, they asked me to usher, but I know I'm not the usher kind of person because I may not be.
I'm so glad.
So, just keeping it real. But not everybody should be an usher. But, in saying, Brianna, you said that so well. I work with children on a daily basis. And you know what? The one thing I notice with these children that I see that is really sad, and you said that, plant that seed. And funny enough, I'm working with elementaries, but do you know what these children don't hear or see from adults is respect. I say to them today, every day, good morning, good afternoon, have a great day. Still in school. Those simple little words. And every time I'll get one to say, "You did you say good morning to me?" "Yeah, good morning." "Didn't you get that this morning?" "No, nobody says good morning." I may be the only one in my school that says good morning to these students, but I do it because I see that no one is showing them respect to others. We don't have a simple good morning, a simple good night. A lot of these kids, I guess, may be raising themselves. Now, there were times in our life, I'm an only child. So I praise myself, and my mother taught me the best thing. You say good morning, you say good afternoon. Those simple things. And you said it well, Brianna. Plant a seed. And that's what God wants us to do. And I think that's something that we should, as Christians, to do. Not saying that we do it, because there's some days that I look at some Christians and I'm going, what leaves in which branch you fall off of? So I don't want to go on that one, because it's a thing that you say, that bad attitude is contagious, and you don't want to deal with that. So you're right. We want to do better. And even as we get older, we want to show better.
I want to go over and say something really nice. To planting the seed. I had a scenario. I think it was last week. I was watching another church online dealing with social media because through Zoom, and they had a praise team on. It was for young adult people. They were adult, and one of the singers had a knee level split, a knee level dress. Sorry, skirt, and the split was in the front, and it was going up halfway up her leg. And I'm saying, the first thing I said to my wife, I showed it to her, I said, why is she up there giving two different types of messages? She's talking about Christ, singing about Christ and whatever, and what he's done in her life. But at the same time, on the flip side, I'm like, but you kind of revealing and giving a tempting message to somebody who may have a problem with that. They can't probably concentrate on Christ or get a blessing because of what you kind of shown off, and not knowing to you, but you kind of give a double message. So now, how can you, our discussion, how can you help that sister out, get a message to them, and saying you're giving a double message?
Well, I know for a fact that has been an issue before, dealing with some people who sang at my church, but they didn't feel that there was a problem with the level of length, should I say, of their skirt. So therefore, they felt as though they were being victimized. Okay, so coming from the other side, I've had personally someone tell me I shouldn't have my arms out if I go to church. And I was like, I don't see anything wrong with my arms out. We all have different perspectives. But because that person said that to me, I didn't have to turn around and say, hey, mind your business. You only, they said it to me in love. So I took it in love. And I said, I'm going to try to be more conscious of my sleeve, if I have a sleeve, or maybe I'll stay further back in the back of the church when I go, because I do want to be respectful of everyone. And I don't want to make anyone feel as if I'm being disrespectful. So I think it's the way people come at you versus, right, the deliverance. Like you said, Michael, earlier, it's not what you say. And my mom says this all the time. It's not what you say, but it's how you say it that you can bring the message over. And in doing so,
I'm gonna be honest, for me, it's also who says it to me. Because if it's somebody that I already don't necessarily favor, I'm not gonna take it. I don't care how you try to deliver it. I'm not gonna take it how you think you're trying to deliver it. It doesn't matter. That's me personally, but go ahead.
So
Corinne, you just made your mom's point. You just made your mom point.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Is that because you have a history where this person had done something or said something to you to turn you off? You see what I'm saying? And that leapfrog over into social media. We have to watch what content we put on social media as to what we get out. Now, if you go and you put your business out, there was a friend of mine who put out something that was rather personal about something that they did. Well, I'm be honest, this person, they went and got a tattoo. And the tattoo was not a flattering tattoo. I don't know how I could the tattoo was rather explicit. Let me just say that. And on a woman, especially, I had to kind of re-look at them, like, because once you put that tattoo on, you can't necessarily take that tattoo off, or you have to go through extreme measures to cover it or have it removed. And then my whole thing is, once you put that tattoo on and the way it is, it tells me a lot about who you are.
Those are the moments you just have to bite your tongue and not say anything, because you went to the tattoo artist and told them, this is what I want, and I want it right here. So those are those moments I can't say anything to you. Now, if you had come to me prior to it, maybe, and asked my opinion on it, maybe I could have given you, that's a little different, maybe a different location if you are insisting on getting on this. But in those moments, if you just pop up for this, I can't say anything to you. I'm just gonna have to be quiet.
And first, I would have to ask if they were in their like right mind when they got the tattoo, because sometimes people get tattoos and they weren't all the way here, and then they wake up and then, oh, it's here. So, I think that's to consider as well. And like you were saying with the praise team, I think too, there's rules everywhere. When you go to certain jobs or when you go to the courthouse, you can't go to the courthouse in flip-flops. So maybe the praise team can say, okay, let's just make a rule. We're gonna have a modest look. So what does a modest look like? It doesn't look like sleeves, and then just wear anything you want as well as it's modest and cover up. Maybe they could make that a rule and not to just call her out, but put that in place for everybody, because if you go to a fancy restaurant and they say suit and ties only, are you going to wear a suit and tie? Yes. So sometimes people they'll abide by other people's rules, but when it comes to church, sometimes they're like, oh, you can't tell me what to do, but when the gas station says you better have a shirt and shoes on, you have your shirt and shoes on.
Yeah, but what is modest? What's modest to me may not be modest to you. What is modest?
And that's a really open question.
That's why I said, how far do we go on the meter?
Are we going on Jesus? Are we going on Jesus modesty, or are we going on the world modesty?
But because everybody has different standards when it comes to Jesus modesty. Because I know a couple of people, especially a few family members, have come to me about the length of my skirt or my shirt. They believe it should be right above my knee. I don't see it that way. I don't feel like something has to be all the way down to my knee to be modest. Personally.
I'm sorry. Modest to me was Ellen G. White all the way down to the ankle. So I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Well, here we go. Once again, boundaries. Okay, well, you know what? Right now, I'm going to segue over to more of the boundary. When we are looking for friendship, companionship, whatever it is, do we make a list or do we have a set thing? Because generally, there's a list like this of, I don't want this, I don't want that, I want this, he has to be fine, she has to be fine. What everybody's fine is a little different. There's a new song out by Tamala Mann, and she talks about her feelings of how she felt inadequate because she was always a big girl, and how they would always say, oh, you got a pretty face, but you're too big. And she found this one man who valued her and was able to feed into that. Whereas she said prior to that, she had people who wanted to be with her, but it had to be after dark. She had to find her boundaries, right? As to what she was going to have acceptable. And I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that when we're setting up our boundaries, even with our families, their boundaries, okay? we have to make that list and think about what Christ has given us. He gave us common sense. Am I going to go and say, okay, he looks real good and he talks, he's educated, but he hits me in the eye every now and again. And am I going to accept that? I think we have to make some kind of boundaries that are good for us and say, listen, when you come this far and you stop. And especially now with church, everybody wants to move with the latest outfits or, whatever. And sometimes those outfits to me are a little outlandish, or maybe I really like them. So how do we find the middle ground?
You said something that was interesting, Sonia, when you said that the language, but then the question becomes, is the modesty of having boundaries also, how does that work when your family, if your mother was in an abusive relationship and this is what you saw and you think this is norm? If you have family members or young people that grew up with abusive dads and stuff like that, or the mom being abusive to the dad, and they see that and they think this is normal, and then now you're telling me as an adult, well, this is what I grew up seeing. Yeah, my mom stayed with my dad all this time, but he beat her up. How do you stop that? How do you say, because remember now the kids, this is what they grew up seeing.
Well, there's a comment on here, and Stephan says boundaries based on biblical standards. Well, I say to that, I understand what are the biblical standards, but here we go. There was a pastor who hit his wife and children, and it was something that was hidden, and it wasn't until later that it actually kind of came out. And so for that young person that I talked to who had this issue going on, she said her father would get up and preach, but he'd come home and beat everybody up. So she didn't see the necessary biblical standards. She thought that was the norm. And when she found out it wasn't, she said it was very hard for her. And it was hard when she was looking for a relationship, because I want young people to understand, as well as older people, when you're looking for that person that you want to be with, you have to set some standards. And when Stephan talked about the biblical standard, you got to go back to the Bible. You got to look at the Bible, not man.
But you also have to be careful to not take those biblical standards and try to twist it to make it fit what you want to fit, because you have a lot of people who do that, who will take little parts about, well, I'm just going to take this part, but I'm going to ignore that part. Like, I feel like one of the main ones is when the Bible's talking about honoring your parents, but then they cut it off there. But I'm like, it also talks about do not provoke your children. They leave that part off. Mm-hmm. So we have to be careful with that, with the biblical standard of not twisting it to make it fit what we want.
But once again, we went back to standards. If we read the entire text, God gave a balance, did he not? And we have to be really cognizant of how we treat people and our boundaries and social media, because social media is such a part of our lives. We have to pick and choose what we're going to let out to the world versus what we're going to keep and be private. I don't think that I need to know that you went out with Billy Bob and he stayed over last night. I don't need to know that. Maybe that's something you need to take your prayer closet and pray about. And we have to have some standards about ourselves. God wanted us to know that our body is a temple, and that temple is back to him. And so whatever we put in or allow to happen to this temple, we are responsible to him for. And so we got to kind of make sure that we tie all of that in and to read and have that balance. of, love, work, balance. Like if you don't get enough sleep, you go to work and you've had an hour of sleep, you're not gonna have a good day. If you make it through the day, you're gonna be falling asleep, you're tired, you're cranky. Balance, boundaries. Boundaries in friendship, boundaries in parent. Like I would never walk up to my mom or dad and be like, shut up. First of all, I'll probably get hit. Called duck and switch. But I see this every day because one of my friends said, well, I want them to be my friend. Well, you got to be a parent first and worry about that friendship later. Because at the end of the day, you want the best for your child. Or having a friendship like Corinne talked about earlier. You have friends who are wilding out. Do you follow them just because they're doing it?
But you have to be okay with you.
Right.
You can't.
The peer pressure.
Yeah. You have to accept you for you first.
And
you got to make your own boundaries.
My mom used to always say, show me your friends and I'll show you your character. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
And that was always a problem that I always had because, number one, I'm in Brooklyn. I live in the hood. And it is what it is. But I have those friends. We're still friends in whatever way to a certain degree, but they're not my character because I'm me and I'm going to do me. No one could ever let me do anything I don't want to do. I can get in trouble by myself. I was very good at doing it. I didn't need anybody's help to get in trouble because I could do it by myself. Because if you didn't notice, my face told me everything before I even opened my mouth. So that, I always had that problem that I'm always going to get in trouble because if you look at my face, I could not hide anything because I'm going to look at you straight crazy like, and up to this day, I guess I still have it. I'm trying to learn to curve it. It's not working. But I got
very hard.
It's hard.
But it's a daily struggle.
It's a struggle, and I have to ask God to help me with that struggle. And I think I'm gonna say I've gotten better because I don't curse out folks as quick as I used to. It may be doing it in my mind now. See, see. They gotta look.
Everybody has their struggles. Just because I can't see your struggle doesn't mean you don't have struggles, right? And let's see. She says boundaries based on biblical. Okay, I already read that. Sorry. So we have to make sure that in our daily living, we are living what we portray. We say we're Christians, and I think Christians right now, especially, are getting a real rough time because I hear, oh, you want them Bible thumpers, you want them church folk. We focus too much. I think a lot of times we focus too much on what we can't do versus what we can do. Let's focus on what we can do and be positive and create our necessary boundaries. But we can do it in love and kindness and caring is what I want to say.
You know what? I don't want to. I hope I didn't offend anyone by coming off a little bit too sexist before with the comment about the praise team and the female, because I know that it goes both ways. Because currently, right now, we have in one of our local churches here in Atlanta, same situation, praise team, and the praise team seems good. And one of the singers, he sings, but his attire, and tell you, I didn't notice this. I had a female come to me and tell me, well, you know what? They sing good, and all the people sing good and sing great, but he said, I just don't feel the movement of the spirit because he's showing all his business, with the tight pants. And it's like, why do I need to see that? I don't need to see his business all there. And he's saying, praise God, and who won't blessings flow, and his business is out there straight as day. So it's like you said, how you have to know the approach to the person. He could be a stumbling block to somebody. It could be, as she says, it was a stumbling block to her. So you have to know the relationship with the person and how to approach them to, hey, let me express something to you that it may be a stumbling block for me, and it could be for someone else as well.
That's true.
Well, does that mean that everybody's on the same level of stumbling blocks? No. It means that we look at everybody differently, and what may offend you may not offend others. So, in that sense, is how you look at it. But from women, it's, we're always judged, and for me, I've always had to tell men, can you look at my face, not below? Can you bring it up? Look at me. Look at my face. Because they always go, "Woo, I like you. I like to see your face when you're talking to me, and not you staring at something else." So it works both ways because people don't know. And as a woman, you have to set the boundaries just to say, please look at me. No matter what I wear, what I don't wear, it is what it is. So there's some ways that, no matter how you try to hide it, God bless you with it. You just got to deal with it.
Yeah, but some people, segueing off of that, some people say, well, if you're putting it out there, then I'm supposed to look.
I'm short already, really.
But I mean,
that goes to that person's maturity. No, I don't, because out there I may not be aware of what I'm revealing to the public per se, but that don't mean because it's out there in the public that you got to go like drop your head down, look down. No, that doesn't mean that. But it shows, like I said, somebody commented on the chat, is different levels of maturity that you just train your mind after a while to not look there. You can use your peripheral, look at the person's eyes, and at the same time, you're looking, but you don't have to be so obvious about it. But like I said, it's a level of maturity.
Okay, all right. Well, so wait a minute. We've talked about maturity several times. So what is maturity as far as I may think I'm mature, but I may giggle at somebody who tripped. You understand me? So the level of maturity is that, subjective depending on the situation. She said it goes back to what Brianna said. There should be a dress code. If you go before the judge, you must dress in a certain way. Why not in on the praise team? Now, there you go. Now, I definitely agree with what you're saying. But who is going to enforce it? Most people don't want to enforce it because they don't want to be the bad guy.
Because it goes back to deliberate. If you have somebody who's trying to enforce a dress code who I don't necessarily click with, I'm not going to take that message from you. Because I'm just going to say, you're just trying to start with me and provoke me. I'm not going to take that message from you. But if you have someone who has a positive relationship and is coming from love, it'll be taken differently. So I feel like in the church, we really have to watch that because some people are like, well, I know them, so I'm just going to say something. No, because you may not be the best person to deliver that message. You may need to go find somebody else who may do it in a different manner, or they would take it differently from them because they know it's out of love. Okay.
So if let's say, Corinne, that okay, I'm the person that you have an issue with me, and our relationship is kind of rocky. So you wouldn't take my comment to you that you shouldn't wear so and so and so and so. So you want me now to put the burden on me to go find person B, person C, to tell you what not to wear?
Yes, because I would say yes because you're the one who has an issue with what I'm wearing.
But in the Bible, it tells you that you should bring someone else to help mediate the situation. It's in the Bible, it's in the New Testament. And it says if you may have a problem, you should bring a neutral person that can help mediate the situation, that no one gets their feeling hurt. How many times is that done in the Bible? There's many times, but then how many times do we do that as grown folks?
Yeah. Well, we have a comment, and Sheila says, folks can't handle truth. They want you to lie, cover up to protect the guilty, and will turn on and ostracize those who speak truth. What does it say? Run.
Pray about that thing.
Pray about the thing. Well, I agree with you too. I mean, a lot of times, and I agree with Red, there are certain people who have a track record. Let me say that. And that track record may say, because they have a history with you, they haven't been kind. So if they are really sincere and they have an issue, then go find someone who has a good rapport with that person and say, listen, I noticed such and such. Would you mind maybe talking to that person about this, because I'm concerned, out of love? Because we got to do everything in love, everybody. You just can't, oh, well, there's some people who are so negative all the time until you don't even hear them anymore. Like, you just cut them off. As soon as they start talking, all you hear is blah, 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 blah. Okay? So maybe taking that extra step. Or there was an issue that I had with someone who had offended me. And I didn't feel like if I had said something to that person at the time, it would have come out really nice. So I took it upon myself to go have a chat with the first elder at the time. And I talked with him and I explained how I felt. And, we had a really good conversation. But he was able to say, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. He said, it's valid. He validated what I said. And then he, in turn, went and spoke with the person to stop the behavior, because the behavior was not, a good behavior. And that kind of diffused everything. So sometimes we have to kind of step out of our comfort zone and maybe go and get somebody else involved to bring about a positive Christian reaction, or finalization of whatever.
And I feel like people know when they don't have the strongest relationship with people, and sometimes they go to people just for a reaction. Oh, let me see how they react if I say this. And I feel like that goes back into our boundaries. You know that you don't have the best relationship, so you need to respect that boundary of crossing that line to agitate the person and getting that reaction. Let's respect people, because I feel like it goes back into respect. You're not respecting that I have this issue with you, and you know this, and you're just going out of your way to be spiteful for no reason. You have to look at that.
Well, in our last few minutes here, I'm going to try to wrap up, and I appreciate everyone who tuned in. We're going to have our final say, and I want to go ahead and start with Corinne. No? Oh, okay. Well, if you are Michael or Pam, if you have your final comment that you'd like to make.
Go ahead,
Corinne, it's hard to hear young people talk about when they're having a problem with someone, and it hurts your heart as a person, as an adult, to hear that, because we, the older people, should make it much easier for you all to come to us, to talk to us. And it really hurts my heart that you're having problems, because you really want to make it easier. I guess because I was young and I remember how it felt. So maybe that's why I'm more, hardened and hurt by it. But you know what, Corinne? Don't worry about them. Do you stay your way, and God will deal with them. I've learned that. Sometimes we have to just let God deal with people because we are not able to, and then they'll come around. and said, I really did you wrong. But I mean, I'm hoping, because I'm able to say if I'm wrong, I'm wrong to an adult, to a child, and I think that's hard for people to do, to be grown and to acknowledge that we've made mistakes and we know how to apologize and how to respect young people, because we can't want them to respect us if we don't respect them. I'm one of those that feel it's earned, but you can't just do it because I'm grown. I feel that young people should feel comfortable enough to come and say to us, hey, I'm having issues. How can I help? And I'm be praying that, that all the young people will find that peace that they could talk to us. I know I don't have the face that would say I'm a person to talk to, but once you ask me a question, I'll be honest.
Right. Okay.
Thanks for having me, Sonia and Corinne.
Oh, sure. I appreciate you all being willing to come. Thank you.
I like to say that it's funny that I was reading Patriots and Prophets last night, chapter 11, talking about God's call to Abraham, and one point of the chapter was stating that God puts His people in different tests, and to see where our faith lies, and to see how we would react to the situation that He's testing us on. In relationship to our conversation today with social media, I think that this is another test that He puts us through to see, the old song, be careful little eyes what you see, careful little ears what you hear, things of that nature. And He tests us to see where we going with that. Are you honoring me and what I'm about by going to certain websites, going to social media, engaging in certain situations or conversations? And I think that's another way we can always, I guess, as best as possible, stay on point. That we can, be careful where we go, because the devil, he's a very smart being. God made them higher than us as humans, and we know that. So he allows the devil to test us, but we just need to be on point, because the devil knows what pushes our buttons, so to say. And with those tests in mind, we always, as humans and as sinful people, we need to stay on point, as best as we can. And with if we put Christ first and let the Spirit guide us, I think we'll be more successful than we actually think. And that the Lord will bless us for more, and that through our actions and what people see of us, we can show Christ's life in us, and show Christ's light within our own lives, and that we can probably lead someone to Christ by what we do, what we say.
All right. Well, with that, it just takes me back to the text, by beholding you become changed. What we behold and what we hold up as our mantra, as our God, becomes our God. If we go for holding up the Bible and the standards of Christ, then that's what we're going to have. And if we decide to move to social media and worry about every little thing that our friends want us to do instead of what is right with, and in your mind and in your heart, because you feel like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. When you get that, you know that's the Holy Spirit working on you, trying to get you to do the right thing. But God gives us a choice. And in those choices, we have to try to make good decisions. So I just want us to think, as we go into this week, in everything that we do, is Christ in it? Ask ourselves, is Christ in this? Would He be okay if He was standing right next to me? Would I be okay doing what I'm doing if He was standing right here? And whether we realize it or not, He's omnipresent. He's always with us. So we need to be mindful of that. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank all of my panel guests. Brianna had to run, but I so appreciate you being willing. And if anyone would like to be on the panel, like I said, hit me up, send out a thing, or any suggestions for programming, let me know. We're always open to bringing good content and having a God-filled program. bless you. Have a great week. Be blessed, stay safe, and we'll see you again on Let's Get Free.